I have to share a quick story real quick just for they were not even on the show, but this is just warming up. Rob is so nice. We have Ralphie and Rocky together, right, guys? They're fucking wild. They're running around. They're all hyped
Love
up.
each other. Best friends.
But they're hyped. And I'm over here. I'm like, Rocky, place. Because they're d***ing around. We were trying to settle them down. And Rob goes, Ralphie. And little Ralphie's this little Frenchie. Rob's 7 feet tall. He's like, Ralphie. Wait up, Jules. Wait up. Ralphie. He's like, wait up. I got a mean voice in there. Ralphie. I was laughing because Rob didn't have a mean enough voice to reprimand the dog. That's how nice Rob is. He was sitting there thinking, like, how do I make a mean voice?
But the dogs know the tone.
They
dogs
know the
know tone. If I can get that tone, I get Ralphie under the wraps, and he listens to me big time.
It's so hard
but if
for
I don't
you to
have
get
that tone, he just looks at me and laughs and just keeps going and doing what he's doing and doesn't care what any consequences at all in back of his mind.
No, but it was funny to me that that's how great of a person. You can't even get a mean tone.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you.
Can't get a mean tone, which is complete opposite of the episode that we're going to do today. Welcome to Dudes on Dudes. I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Rob Gronkowski.
And this show is where your favorite dudes get to talk about their favorite dudes. And on today's episode, we have a very AFC North type of episode.
All you Hard Knocks fans, gear up, because this is the first time that's going down where they have all 4 teams in the division in season.
Gronk, what do we get into?
Tough guys. Having hair like that, does that make you look stronger, faster, and bigger?
It makes you look meaner.
And we get into
these are the kind of quarterbacks you want.
that you dream of.
Yeah, because he's going to sit in that pocket. He's going to deliver the ball.
And also we get into when I'm glad that his heyday was before my heyday, because I probably wouldn't have had a heyday then.
Like, I know we toss around the word legend.
Just unbelievable what he has done, and to have that courage to go out there and represent your community, you got to tip your hat off.
How he's just important for humanity.
It really is.
You got to stick around to the end. This is a fun episode. AFC North, tough division. Let's fucking see what it's about. Let's go. Dudes on Dudes is a production of iHeartRadio. Gronk, what's 8 times 4?
32.
Just making sure. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the AFC North because HBO is releasing this in-season Hard Knocks about the whole AFC North, which I'm pretty excited about. What are your first thoughts when you think of the AFC North, Rob?
A tough division, one of the toughest divisions in all of football. I mean, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got the Steel Curtain defense, you got the Baltimore Ravens, which have one of the well-known defenses
of our generation.
Yeah, of our generation, that they're tough, hard-nosed. They take absolutely no garbage, and they're there to make plays, and also they're there to light you up if they have a chance out on the field. So you got to always have your heads up, or else they might take your head off.
Without a doubt. It's straight toughness. If you could throw Cincinnati in there too, when we played them a bunch, it was always a tough game.
Cleveland as well. I mean, Cleveland was always tough, and that's why they're known as the Dog Pound.
The Dog Pound.
In Cleveland at their home stadium, and it really was. I mean, we lost to Cleveland, my rookie year?
I know.
And they didn't even have a good team, but they had a tough SOB running back at the time, Peyton Hillis. He represented that division like no other in the AFC North. I mean, he was running fools over that game.
Running, jumping. Mm-hmm. Anytime we played Baltimore, it was always super tough. Mm-hmm. The Steelers, fucking tough. We always won those games. We won a lot of those games, but it was never easy.
It was never easy. And Coach always just stated to us, always repeated himself, that it's going to take all 4 quarters to beat these guys. And you got to be a tough football player. You got to be mentally tough in order to win versus anyone in the AFC North. And the way to win is that you got to keep pushing. You got to keep grinding, and you got to be tougher than them when it comes down to it in the 4th quarter. And you can't make the mistakes and let them make the mistakes.
Yeah, without a doubt, because it was just tough football. What do you think about them having a Hard Knocks in season?
So the Hard Knocks in season, I think it's really cool for fans, and the way that this generation's set up now with social media, all these apps, and getting insight information on players and getting first looks at what's going on. I think it's great for the NFL. I think it's great for players to get their name out there. I think it's great for the teams in their city. Just everything's great about it. I would say the only thing that's not great about it is if you're just a player and you're a low-key player. And there's plenty of those players in the NFL that just want to go in and do their business and don't care about the cameras, don't care about the pictures, don't care about them getting the praise that they should be getting. They just want to go in, do their job, get a paycheck, make sure they do their job right. And that's the only problem I have with it, is that it just gets in the way sometimes. It's just distraction. It can be. So you can't let it be a distraction. I feel like it's really not, compared to like 10 years ago. It was more of a distraction because there's only one team doing it.
Yeah.
Now everyone's doing it. So it's kind of the norm. And when it's the norm, it's a less of a distraction. When something's not a norm, it's way more of a distraction. So, but still, like guys like you and I, we would kind of take that as a distraction. Like, get the effing cameras out of our face. We want to do what we want to do. We'll be doing our speaking out on the football field.
I think it's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's crazy that I would not want cameras in seeing how we're forming our team. I'm not going to speak for Bill, but I'm pretty sure he feels that too. There's no way you're getting cameras in there.
I agree. But I'm talking
cool.
the business side of football.
No, it is amazing.
Great. I'm talking on the business side. It's great. But what you just said, I would hate it. And it was awesome that Coach, Belichick never would allow Hard Knocks to come in our locker room. It would drive all of us crazy. What are your favorite moments from Hard Knocks over the years since you've been watching? Since when? Probably, since you were in high school.
Yeah. I can remember the early ones back when like Tony Saragusa and the Ravens, the Brian Billick Ravens were on. That was like, I think the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Shannon Sharp. And then I always used to love another AFC North. I used to love Ocho Cinco when he would say the kiss the baby shit.
All right.
You remember him?
Thank you for Hard Knocks because of Ocho Cinco. Ocho Cinco was a dime,
A diamond.
A dime. What am I saying?
Dime a dozen?
Dime a dozen.
No.
There we go, Jules.
I don't know. I don't think that one works. I think.
Fine.
What do we get?
I thought it did, but he was a diamond then. He was a diamond.
What about early one? Dola got cut.
Mm-hmm.
He got cut on Hard Knocks when he was with the Cowboys.
He did. Thank you to Hard Knocks. I love Hard Knocks now. We can always tease Dola.
I know. What are your favorite Hard Knocks?
I would say when I was in high school, the Cincinnati Bengals were on Hard Knocks, and every single person in our high school watched Hard Knocks, and it was kind of like a full circle moment. I mean, I thought it was so cool. What was wild, Hard Knocks made it seem like the movies, like Friday Night Lights, like the high school movies where you would watch it, and then you would like turn to your buddy and you're like, bro, man, everyone's so fast, everyone's so big, like, I can't compete versus those people. Like, if I ever get to the NFL, there's no way. Like, look how good they look. Like, Hard Knocks made it seem like space creatures.
Yeah.
Were coming on planet Earth and playing in the NFL, and everyone's just so big. It was like
slow motion football.
Yeah.
By the most elite athletes in like slow motion looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all Hard Knocks. When you slow the spiral down and the ball's perfect. Or like slow motion getting off the ball and like hitting two guys hitting and the sweat's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you said, it's like a movie.
And then they would show the one guy in the weight room squatting 650 pounds and then the other guy benching 500 pounds. I mean, not everyone was like that, but they made it seem like everyone was like that. And you're like, how am I going to play in the NFL? I ain't that strong and I'm never going to be that strong. But they just made it like a movie where it was just so real to watch.
It was.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like very cinematic,
That's exactly. It was like a movie, cinematic.
Here we go. So the Cincinnati Bengals were on. I loved the show, loved watching it. Jonathan Hayes, their tight end coach, always stole the show. He always brought the juice. And obviously I paid attention to him more throughout the show because I was a tight end and I wanted to play in the NFL. So full circle moment, I'm at the University of Arizona. I went to the combine, but I didn't really participate because I had back surgery. So I had my pro day. So all the teams came out for my pro day. And who shows up to put me through all the drills one-on-one? Coach Jonathan Hayes of the Cincinnati Bengals. So I thought it was one of the coolest moments that the coach that I was watching at Hard Knocks with all my buddies in high school. And that's when all the shows are the coolest, like Entourage.
Yeah.
Freaking Hard Knocks is when you're in high school, So I'm thinking like I'm one of the coolest guys ever at my pro day because of this situation. He put me through a hell of a workout too, man. I almost puked.
Did you kill it?
I killed it. I had a wonderful pro day.
Did you tell him you
did
saw
very
him
well? No, I
Knocks?
didn't. Yeah, he ended up passing on me, Jules. He ended up passing on me. So
thank God.
The story didn't end the way that, and not a happy ending. But it truly was a happy ending because I got passed on. I went to the New England Patriots, baby. The best thing that ever happened to me, baby. Let's go. So let's go to AFC North, Jules. Who do we got? Enough talking about Hard Knocks and us watching it when we were in high school. We never were on it because we didn't care about Hard Knocks. We cared about taking care of our business out on the field, and that was going to speak for us. That was our talking, and that was the product that we had, was put the work in and show it on Sundays. It was actually because Coach Belichick said no to Hard Knocks.
100%.
Or else we would have probably loved to be on it.
Loved it. Would have been fun. No. All right.
Nice laugh. All right. Who do we got? AFC North. They're
First guy
powerhouses.
we're going.
Tough division, tough defenses, and we just owned them all because we're tough players. No, we didn't own them. We battled them, though. It was war.
For the Steelers, we're going to go with Troy Polamalu. Greatest hair.
Troy Polamalu.
Oh, my Tasmanian devil.
All right, let's see what does
I got to say? Start the clock.
On Troy Polamalu. Troy Polamalu, a 5'10", 200-pound safety, spent his entire NFL career with the Pittsburgh Steelers after being drafted 16th overall in the 2003 NFL draft. I was born in 1989, so I was 14 years old when he was drafted into the NFL. That's just a cool fun fact out there. So you were probably, 16, 17?
Yeah.
He was known for his explosive style, nose for the ball, uncanny instincts, and trademark flowing hair. He finished his career with 32 interceptions, 783 tackles, and 3 defensive touchdowns. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and won the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2010.
Wow.
That was my rookie season.
Second year.
Solidifying his status as one of the most versatile and disruptive safeties in the game. He was named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2020. Well, let me tell you this, Jules. Here's another fun fact. In 2010, when he was all-pro safety and I was a rookie, I scored 3 touchdowns versus that defense. So I scored 3 touchdowns versus an all-pro safety, baby, that year in 2000. No, NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2010. It necessarily wasn't on him. He wasn't covering me, but still, he was still on the defensive side of the ball. And I forgot he was the Defensive Player of the Year, too, in 2010. Maniac. Love him. The Tasmanian devil.
He really is. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, so there was a lot of Polynesian people in my communities. Like, my high school football team was, probably 60% Polynesian, either Samoan or Tongan or Hawaiian. Anytime there was a Polynesian football player that was a stud in our circles, they were like gods. Like, it was when I was real young, it was Junior Seau, and then it became Troy Polamalu, who he was like the god of all gods for all these dudes. That he was just a fucking maniac on the field. He was like the nicest dude. He used to hit guys and do little prayers afterwards because he was so nice-souled. I just remember always loving this guy because of all the polys in my neighborhood.
Did he ever hit you and then just kind of prayed over you, Julian? Has that ever happened?
I remember I had to block him a couple times, and I did catch a ghost route on him once, but then he leveraged me out of bounds. He never blew me up or anything. He was one of those, once again, in that Cam Chancellor category where he's a polite competitor. He never really talked shit. He was kind of all about his business, and that's how I felt when I played against him.
Those are the guys you don't want to tick off either.
Never.
I mean, they're already so good and so fierce playing on the field, but they're also so nice. So imagine you just tick them off. You bring them to that next level where they're not nice anymore. Imagine just their amplifyingness. There's amplifyingness.
They're amplifying.
Yes, amplifyingness. There we go, baby. Just imagine how much more that would be, how much more those hits would hurt if you tick him off. What I loved about him, he was a ball hawk, bro, out in the field.
Always.
He was always around the ball, no matter what the situation was. He was a deep safety. And let me tell you, he was in the backfield more than he was back in his own backfield on the defensive side of the ball, making sacks, making tackles for losses. And what I really loved about him, too, just knew how to jump the snap.
Yeah.
Better than anyone.
He time snaps. There's probably 5-6 plays of him jumping over the line of scrimmage on a 4th and 1 and grabbing the quarterback and getting a head start for the QB sneak. He was just a guy that knew the football, always around the football, blew up screens. He was played in the box always. He was tough in the run game. He was a great blitzer. I would say he's a top 3 blitzer blitzing safety of all time.
Never, rarely missed a tackle. Do you think he could have played receiver because just the way that he was such a ball hawk and the ball skills that he possessed?
Probably because he would have been a great slot. He knows coverage, and those guys, he's very instinctive with space in the field. He always made tough catches. Mm-hmm. It's different when the ball is coming to you. But who are the other top blitzers you think?
Jamal Adams was a really good blitzer.
That motherfucker,
a more recent guy who
recent.
He was vicious. He was strong. He was a bulldozer coming through the middle.
He tossed me out the club a few times.
Yeah, I saw that. I was right there.
Remember that?
Yeah, I mean, but you didn't back down, dude. And he was a young buck. You were hurting. Yeah. I remember you were hurting, but you still gave it to him. He could come in. He would take
himself out the play.
He would take himself out of the play.
He would literally blow me up. Like I go in to get the force, and he would blow me up. We would run for 15 right by him. Like you know what I mean?
Well, that's what makes Troy Polamalu so great is that he would make those guesses and he would blow up the play, but he's also making the play.
Yeah.
He's not missing. And if he does miss, he's forcing the play to go back inside or to go outside or wherever he needs it to go so then his teammates can make the play because of what he did to force that play to go where it was going. Just a wizard with the knowledge of the game. Unbelievable, dude, in coverage.
These safeties, especially in this division, AFC North, they were like fun football players to watch. When you watched Troy Polamalu or like an Ed Reed or these were the guys that we played against and that are from our generation, so we know these guys. But you could say that about like the Ronnie Lotts of the back days, the Atwells, the Lynches. When you always had great safety like play, it was like fun guys to watch. Interceptions, big hits, fumble recoveries. He just did it all, and he was like a heartbeat. A lot of those great defenses Pittsburgh Steelers had.
Mm-hmm. I went to high school, actually, my senior year in Pittsburgh. I'm all pro or all state, whatever, defensive end. So I get invited to this, Pittsburgh gala for high school football athletes. And then who's there? Troy Polamalu, who's up on the stage. It's a dinner. Everyone's recognized. And then Troy Polamalu gives a speech, an unbelievable speech. What a guy. What a guy, about faith, about doing the right thing, all the good stuff. Gets a round of applause. Absolutely loved in Pittsburgh, this guy. I loved him. Who didn't love Troy Polamalu? No. Even when I was facing him, I loved him. I'm sitting there, though. Wait. I'm sitting there, though, just like looking at the best safety in the game, one of the best safeties in the game, and I'm in high school. And I'm sitting there, and he's giving the speech, round of applause, and I just literally want to go up to him and tell him, hey, I'm Rob Gronkowski. I'll be seeing you in a couple years.
You wanted to say that?
I wanted to say that to him.
How does hair look?
It was good. Looks exactly how it was every single day that he was playing.
He always
all the way to this day. Great hair. Unbelievable. So just full circle moment. It was just unbelievable. I said it to a couple buddies. I'm going to face Troy Polamalu. And then 4 years later, I'm facing Troy Polamalu, man. So I just thought that was a cool moment, just kind of putting it into perspective, kind of manifesting this guy who's a legend who's speaking to me when I was in high school that I'm going to go versus him one day. And it happened. And it was really cool because then I did go versus him. Can you ask me what happened on a play when I went versus him?
What did you do in your rookie year when you played him?
Oh, I scored 3 touchdowns versus Steelers my rookie year, but it wasn't versus Troy Polamalu. The play I'm talking about was my second year in the NFL. I did an in-cut, caught the ball. Troy Polamalu went to tackle me. He jumped on my back, and I brought him for a ride for 5 freaking yards. Troy Polamalu went for a ride. It was like the Tom Brady going for a ride when that touchdown. But Troy Polamalu trying to tackle me. I got an extra 5-6 yards, and I'm still waiting for him to, give me that change for the ride. When you put the quarter in, tip.
You're like, what do you
change where the horsey goes? Giddy up, horsey. Like he was giddy up, horsey.
What did he say?
The Gronky's back.
He played.
I don't think he said anything. He played really hard.
Maybe he inspired you with that speech to manifest yourself to go. While he was saying that speech, you're like, I'm going to go against him one day, hopefully.
Not hopefully. I was going to go against him one day.
Wow.
Jules, I know you're a guy about looks and scruffing up your beard and making sure you got the right gel to put your hair exactly where it needs to be placed. But what do you think about the greatest hair in the game, Troy Polamalu's?
I mean, he had the best hair. Anyone that was on the Head and Shoulders, he'd been on Head and Shoulders commercials for probably about 15 years. I swear. I mean, him and Patrick Mahomes.
But I got another question. Having hair like that, like Troy had hair, does that make you look stronger, faster, and bigger?
It makes you look meaner.
It does.
It makes you look like a fucking warrior, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I could just see him doing the goddamn haka when I see that hair coming out the back helmet.
And talking about Polynesians as well, and the haka, is it just me? But are all Polynesians just strong as heck right out of the wound? Like they come out, like they don't even have to work out. Like they'll go up.
But they do work out.
They do, but they don't even have to. And they'll just go up and they'll toss up 400 on the bench press like it's nothing. You can't move Polynesians, man. They're so strong and they got so much base to the ground.
Yeah.
Like they're attached, like their legs are in the ground, it feels like when you try to block them.
Vita Vea, he was fucking just
massive, 360 pounds. You can't move that guy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, no, they're just strong humans.
Mm-hmm.
When I had Laird Hamilton, when he talked about the Polynesians and stuff, he's Hawaiian and stuff. Like they're just cool people. They're very like traditioned and stuff about their traditions. Time.
Troy Polamalu. What kind of dude is Troy? Is he a stud, a freak, dog, whiz, or dude's dude?
Oh man, he can hit a
what
couple
do you think,
of these.
Jules? I mean, he's definitely a whiz. I mean, the knowledge of the
He's
game.
also a dog.
In order to be in the backfield, basically half of the plays
Yeah.
and make the plays and be able to time up the snap count and be able to jump the snap count. I mean, you got to know the game to another level. And also to be able to have that coverage that he has, the range in zone was just phenomenal. You got to be smart.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's definitely a whiz to me as well. The amount of screen plays that he blew up, just instinctively reading the offensive lineman, like you watch his highlight film, he blew up so many screens, pick screens. He also had great zone coverages, like you said. He just felt like he was everywhere on the field. And that's like very innovative. And he's like just a wizard with how he was around, man.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whiz, stamp, whiz. All right, it's out there. It's in the mailbox. There's a stamp like all over this piece of mail, but it's well known that he's a whiz, okay?
Ink stamp.
You can't get it off. It's like when it's on your skin,
Yeah,
you're just under the shower.
It's kind of like when you go to the bar.
Just washing it off like 50 times. Yeah, you come home and that ink, you're like, I don't want to show my mom I was out.
Yeah.
And you're just under the sink for 10 minutes.
And then you have red marks, and she sees like, hey, what were you scrubbing on your palm? Or what were you scrubbing on top of your
Or is that
hand?
a hickey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Who do we got?
Who's
Joe
next?
Burrow?
Wait,
Joe Burrow.
You got to put him up.
One of the greatest pocket passers in the game right now.
10 minutes. Joey B.
Here we go.
Fucking cool.
What does AI have to say about Joey B?
What's AI say about Joey?
Joe Burrow standing at 6'4" and weighing 250 pounds. 215. No, my bad.
Jesus.
215
Holy
pounds.
fuck.
Was drafted #1 overall in 2020. In just 5 seasons, he's made his mark as one of the league's premier young quarterbacks with 3 trips to the playoffs and a Super Bowl appearance. Raised in Ohio, his college football journey took him from Ohio State to LSU, where he won the Heisman Trophy and a national championship, having one of the greatest seasons in college football history. Actually, that's the first time I've ever heard about Joe Burrow or seen him play or just learned anything about him was the national championship game when he was at LSU.
Yeah.
And I literally was sitting there like, this guy's Tom Brady of college football.
100%.
And just the first game I've seen him play, actually in the first half, just watching him go. But like back to this. He's not only recognized as an emerging face in the league, but also for his charitable work throughout his home state of Ohio.
Charity
Jules, what is the first thing you think of when you hear the name Joe Burrow?
Joe cool. First thing comes to mind. Kid's cool. I think we were all watching those national championship year games in like the meal rooms before games with all our teammates. Remember watching those? And like you'd watch these LSU teams, and yeah, they had a lot of great players, but he was just dicing fools. I think he beat like every record you could beat, passing, throwing, yards, this, that in college. So when he came in, it was like, who's this kid gonna be? Like he had a stand. He played himself into some craziness. Like this guy, who is this kid? Then he came in, he played. He went to the damn Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals like 2 years into his career, which was crazy. Like he's backed shit up. He's always been the guy, and he's backed it up. I think he's just a calm, cool, collect guy, man. I love his game. I love watching him play. Climbs the pocket like as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kind of quarterbacks you want.
That you dream of.
Yeah, because he's going to sit in that pocket. He's going to find you. He's going to deliver the ball. I don't want guys that are running. because you get the ball.
I love the way he just slides up in that pocket every time. He's just got such great pocket presence, and that's why I loved him so much when I watched him in the national championship game, because that's what he was showing, and that's what Tom does as well.
100%.
Tom's one of the best pocket passers in history, actually probably the best, and that's what makes him the greatest quarterback of all time. It's not like he was running around. I mean, because he was such a great pocket presence, and he would slide right up, and he just kept delivering that ball right on the money, and he was reading the whole entire field. And every guy was covered, but he stayed so cool in the national championship game. And then all of a sudden, he just looked to his left, boom, and just dish it off to the running back. He would get 10.
Yeah.
And he would just always know who to go to, find the guy that's open, never force the ball. And if he does force the ball, he's going to force it in a pocket to where only his receiver can get it and not the defenders. And that's what makes this guy so great at the quarterback position. No ands, ifs, or buts about it, Jules.
I know. And that's like when you say pocket presence, when you watch a guy like who has good pocket presence, for example, Brady, it's when he can step up or slide to the right while he's keeping his eyes down the field to buy himself a half a second to deliver the football. Like, it's not like it's rad athletic, but it's like a sixth sense where you know where to go to stay in the pocket. So the guy running the hump goes over you, the pocket pressure, the guard comes this way, you step this way, you go to your left a little, and it's like a sixth sense. And you see that with Joe Burrow. There were so many third downs where he steps up, knows where his last read is, finds that in cut, delivers a good ball. I'm really sad about their team right now because they're really good. I feel like they're better than what they're doing, but he's a stud.
And when you have a quarterback like that can step up in the pocket and stay in the pocket as well, extend the time in the pocket because he just got great pocket presence. This is when you actually, as a receiver, you cannot cut your routes short.
No.
You have to get all your depth that you need to get. Say you got a 12-yard in cut, you have to get the 12 yards because it's all about timing with this guy. And this timing goes from practice to a game, because when you have a pocket presence quarterback, it's not street ball, it's real football, and it's the hardest football to defend when you got a quarterback like this. So get your depth in the receiving game if you're a wide receiver or a tight end, and do all the little details that you need to do, because that ball is going to come eventually. You don't know when, but it's going to come. And if you're the fifth read, always be ready for it, because if all four reads are covered, it's going to the fifth read every single time.
Depth and spacing is only really important on zone.
Mm-hmm.
Man coverage, you can break your depth.
And man coverage, you can.
What do you think about when you hear he's a coach's son? What does that mean to you?
Coach's son means kind of like a coach's pet, but I don't see that with Joey B. That's kind of what coach's son.
I would say son of a coach.
Is he?
Yeah, I think his dad's a big coach in Ohio.
So it's literal. He's a coach's son.
Yeah,
but you're talking about him being with the Bengals, like he's a coach's son.
He's literally a son of a coach.
All right. Well, then.
So, in the scouting report, if he's a son of the coach, is that a good thing or is that a bad? That means he's smart, loves ball, around ball, grew up around ball.
It exists in the family. It's a trait that's passed down. I mean, it's good to know that family members, the tradition of football exists in the family.
Yeah.
That means you got toughness. That means you got grit. If one family member in a decade and then there's another family member, that means that's a football family. And that's who you want on your team.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
I agree.
Like if I have a kid, they hear Gronk is, a little mini Gronk is on their team, that you want that. Same with Jules. Oh, we got little Julian Edelman coming. If you have a boy, but eventually on a football team, maybe your daughter will be the first kicker. Maybe playing football.
Never know.
Yeah, you never know. She plays soccer right now. So hopefully she is the first. But they're going to be like, we got an Edelman on our team. This is amazing. It's just passed down. It's just the tradition of just football knowledge is passed down.
Football knowledge. We got to get her a flag ASAP.
You ever meet Joe? Joe Cool?
I have. We did a Nerf shoot together.
Mm-hmm. Nerf shoot. Okay.
Yeah. Our Super Bowl week before he was about to get drafted. It was him, McCaffrey, Adams from the Jets at the time, the safety we talked about earlier. And we did this content. He was a cool kid. He's got a confidence look about him. He's just confident. It's not cocky. It's just we had him do a scene where he had to throw a football, like one of those little Nerf footballs. And the dude threw it over the house and walked off. And it was just yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not even trying to be cool, but he is. He's
just comes naturally.
Just comes natural. You ever meet him?
Yes, one time, and it was actually this year. So, but we got to go way back a little bit. Like when Malcolm Brown was drafted to the Patriots, like whatever, how many years ago that was?
Yeah.
Like what, 2015, whatever. First round pick D tackle out of Texas. I got a text message that night, the night of the draft, and it was like, "Hey Rob, it's Malcolm Brown. Like, pleasure to be on your team. I can't wait to get back to work on the football field. And just an honor to be your teammate." It was something along those lines. And I wrote back like, "Man, great to have you on." And then eventually that night called the number, and it was not Malcolm Brown. So I got duped. It was just a random fan, and they duped me to answer back and saying it was Malcolm Brown. So my phone number got passed around somehow, some way, and I got duped. Like I got. As Marshawn Lynch would say on his podcast, I got. All right? I got. So now, fast forward, I was like, I ain't ever going to let that shit happen to me ever again. I ain't answering random numbers. Like, if someone has my number, it's because I know they have my number or something. That's my official rule from here on out. After I retired with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my second stint in the NFL, everyone's still trying to get me to play, ask me questions in the media when I had to do some media rounds. You're like, yo, who is the quarterback that you would love to play with, to this day and era? Like playing right now. And it can't be Brady. Obviously, I'm not going to pick Brady. I'm like Joe Burrow, but because he reminds me of Brady, and I just love the way that he presents himself in the pocket. Went everywhere. And I retired that year. And then I get a text message. Yo, Gronk, what's up, man? I saw you talking about me in the media. It's Joe Burrow. Like, I would love for you if you came to the Cincinnati Bengals. I was like, I ain't getting got
what?
again. I'm like, I ain't getting got again. Like, this is nuts. Like, I ain't falling for this shit. Like, I ain't gonna answer. I thought it was cool as shit, though. I was like, this would be cool as hell if this is Joe Burrow trying to recruit me to go to the Bengals, but also at the same time, he's got to know I'm tapped out and he does not want me on that team. But he thinks he does because of my history. But when I'm tapped out and I know I'm not playing football anymore, you don't want me, Jules. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you that just, myself.
Nah,
you do, but you do. I would have still been good.
You still would have been. But even when you're covered, you're not covered.
I'm at the white party this year. Shout out to Michael Rubin having the white party. And I go up to him. I walk right by him. I'm like, oh, what up, Joe? Nice to meet you. It's the first time I've ever met him. And then within 10 seconds, he's like, yo, you something along the line like, yo, you never responded to me. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I was like, no freaking way that was actually you, bro. He's like, yeah, I texted you after you said that you wanted to play with me in the media. I wanted you to come to Cincinnati. And I was like, bro, I never thought in a million years that was you, bro. I was like, I'm sorry. I apologize, man, because I love Joe Burrow.
Brown.
Yeah, and because of Malcolm Brown text message, because someone got me. So I was just, at that time, I was like, bro, I'm sorry, bro. I love your game. And I was like, you don't want me. You didn't want me anyway. So it was a good thing I didn't answer. I turned into that. So in that situation, just take a guess. Just go with your heart. And if you truly believe who's texting you at that moment.
You should have FaceTimed
if you don't know the number.
Time. What kind of dude is Joe Burrow?
That's easy, man. I mean, obviously, he's kind of a dude's dude for sure.
He
Great
is.
guy in the locker room. He is too cool. You can't be a dude's dude when you're too cool.
Not when you're too cool. He's got some dog in him.
He does.
He's got some whiz in him, but I think he's just a stud.
He is a stud, 100%. That's what I was going with. I'm not even going to argue with that. The dog that I saw in him was after the national championship game when he smoked that cigar and just sat there and did those interviews or whatever and took a couple pictures with the cigar in his mouth. That was dog-like for sure. But
it's also, he's studly enough to do it.
With his hair slicked back and everything.
He had the little Jerry. He's got the little, he got the Superman curl. He's got the Superman logo swoop. Right now with the frosted tips.
Are you jealous of his Superman hair look?
Hell
yeah. I think you are, Jules. Because you kind of got that going a little bit.
No.
But not to his level.
No,
he's
got
up there
textured
with
hair.
that.
I got this straight ass, terrible hair. Yeah, Joe Burrow, he's too cool. He's definitely stamp it.
Stud.
Let's get on
Ed Reed. Coach Belichick's favorite defensive player besides, who's that guy from the New York Giants, Jules, that he loves as well?
Lawrence Taylor.
Always gets a hard on for Lawrence Taylor, but he had another full. He got about 3/4 chub for Ed Reed.
We used to call Ed Reed Belichick. So let's see what AI has to say.
But you couldn't blame Coach Belichick
for
that because Ed Reed was was a baller.
He was a
Baller. Athletic. All right, start the clock. Ed Reed standing at 5'11" and weighing 205 pounds. Ed Reed played safety for the Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans, and New York Jets. The Jets when he played for the Jets?
late.
Like 2013?
Late Jets.
Must have been one season.
One season.
Drafted 24th overall. He just probably wanted that, final check because why would he go to the Jets in 2013? All right, we'll talk about that later. Drafted 24th overall in 2002 out of the University of Miami. He was known for his high football IQ, playmaking ability, and unmatched leadership. He was a game changer, finishing his career with 64 interceptions, 1,590 interception return yards.
Jesus.
And 7 defensive touchdowns. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 2004 NFL Defense Player of the Year, and is the all-time NFL leader in interception return yards. I was going to say that right when I heard that number as well. I was like, that has to be an all-time record.
I remember.
And no one must be close. He played his entire career with the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, wait a second. AI. You just said he played for 3 teams in the first sentence, and now the last sentence. He played his entire career with the Baltimore Ravens. That ain't true. And helped bring them their second Super Bowl victory with a win over the 49ers in Super Bowl 47. Now, he played for 3 teams, Houston Texans and the New York Jets, but he had his best, career years, obviously, with the Baltimore Ravens, and then just finished off with the irrelevant years. Didn't matter. He's definitely a Baltimore Raven for life.
Yeah.
Miami Hurricane football player for life, the U. I mean, he's known. He helped put the U on the map and also helped, put that defense of the Baltimore Ravens on the map as well. This is why
Ray Lewis was there.
Yeah, Ray Lewis. I mean, that's why they were known as the toughest defense in the NFL. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and what's his freaking
T-Sizzle.
face? Yeah, T-Sizzle. Terrell Suggs.
Haloti Ngata.
Oh, Haloti Ngata, man. That dude, oh my gosh. He's like Vita Vea, basically. Yeah. 360 pounds, just massive, blows up holes. You can't move him. But what's the first thing you think of about Ed Reed when you hear his name, Jules?
First thing I think of is cover 4, red area, him blowing me up.
I'm sorry.
He blew me up in that. Remember when we played
sorry.
there?
First of all, I'm sorry I asked you this question.
All right. Yeah,
he did blow you up.
Remember that when we were playing there? Yeah, he lit me up.
But you got right back up though.
I did. I ended up scoring.
You a tough SOB, Jules.
But you
a tough son of a gun.
He was just the first thing. Like he was just everywhere. Like what's that one? There's that one thing. 2/3 of the earth is covered by water. The other third is covered by Ed Reed. Like that. That is what I think of when I think of Ed Reed. Got to compete against him from a very young age at my rookie year, and that's when they were coming and beating us in Foxborough. We were battling them in the AFC Championship. You remember those early years that we battled them? That was like our Denver in the back of our career where we were playing the toughest, you know what I mean? It just was always a battle, and Ed Reed was just a very unpredictable dude to try to get a beat on.
He baited QBs into mistakes all the time.
All the time.
You
ever meet him?
I never met Ed Reed. No, never have, man. And it was good because I really never met him on the field either, which is a good thing. I played my rookie year, but I really didn't play that much versus the Baltimore Ravens. My rookie year, probably like 20, 30 plays. I never really had a chance to match up with him. And then he was kind of on to the next teams, like those irrelevant years on those teams of just not really playing versus him. But I just remember him in the heyday, though, which was good. I'm glad that his heyday was before my heyday because I probably wouldn't have had a heyday then if there's Ed Reed still in his heyday when I was there. But just what I really loved about him was just his range. I mean, yes, he was a guesser and he baited quarterbacks into mistakes, but also he would bait them in the mistakes and then have that range to cover that mistake that the quarterback is making.
Yeah.
He would get you to throw that deep ball and act like he was out of coverage, but he was so fast and athletic, he would go and get that deep ball and make that interception. You want to know how good Ed Reed was? Tell him, Jules, how good he was. What did Tom have to do in the playoffs in 2011 in the AFC Championship game? What did he have to do? Because Ed Reed was just that guy.
I remember he used to have to put on his wristband because, for extended plays, sometimes if you had a check with me, you'd have a lengthy verbiage thing, so we'd put it on there. I bet you he had the reminder that said fine number 20 because he was just that big of a focal point of that defense.
Yeah.
He was, you know what I mean? That's how much.
It wasn't just find number 20. It was find number 20 on every play.
Every
and
play.
locate them and throw the ball the other way. It didn't say throw the ball the other way, but
you got to find him.
Yep, you got to find him. You got to know where he is. You got to base the play off of him. You got to alert it. You got to alert. When Tom's doing that, that means he doesn't like where 20 is.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. And I remember plays where Tom used to talk about, he'd watch Ed Reed, and Ed Reed would be on the ground, and he's got like the deep third, and he'd be on the ground in the box, lying on the ground like a goddamn lion, and then get up and sprint back there and go pick a ball. Like, that's kind of instinct that he had. But what I loved about Ray also, because early on in my career, I was a returner. I was a special teamer. And whenever we played against the Baltimore Ravens on all units, he was a fucking problem. On our punt return unit or our punt team, he had the up and under. On the field goal block, he had the up and under. Like, he used to block kicks, scoop scores. He returned kicks for touchdowns. He just was an all-around fucking unbelievable football player that young football players need to watch and not try to emulate, because not everyone can be Ed Reed.
Mm-mm.
Not everyone can do that. But, like, understand that, like, this dude's like a freak.
Who would you say is the better safety between the two ultimate safeties in the AFC North? Troy Polamalu or Ed Reed?
That's so hard. They're different players. I think of Ed as more of a deep safety, like a free. I think of Polamalu more of a like a strong safety. So I think they're different. Both just electric football players that you want to play with. Like, I would love to get to play with them, because the amount of practice against them that you would get, like, it would make you a better football player.
Sure would. Iron sharpens iron.
What do you think?
It depends on the scheme. It depends on the defensive coach, what their mindset is. Like you said, if you have a scheme where the safeties, are blitzing more and making more plays in the backfield and acting more of like a linebacker, you got to go with Troy Polamalu. But if you have a scheme where it's more about coverage, you got to go with Ed Reed, no doubt about it. I mean, this guy could cover any part of the field at any given time. Even if he's on one side, if he has one half of the field, he can go to the other half and give help to the safety once the ball is released.
Yeah.
He's so fast and just so quick. And what's so great about him, too, is just his ball skills, man. He would, like, tip that ball to him, like, all the time for an interception. Like, he had wide receiver skills.
Post-interception, he'd throw the ball back. You always had to be alert for a lateral. Or remember, he stole the ball from his teammate to pick it when he was about to fall down. Out of players who didn't play for Coach Belichick, who do you think's on the Mount Rushmore of guys that he loves? Because I for sure, Ed Reed would be
obviously Lawrence Taylor. We just talked about
Well, he
that.
played for him, but that we didn't play with.
Right,
yeah,
that
we didn't play with.
What do you mean? We didn't. He like that coach that didn't coach.
Yeah, maybe that.
So because he coached Lawrence Taylor.
He coached.
So Lawrence Taylor's out of the picture.
But he's still on there. He's still on there.
He's still on there.
He's still on there because he
so
loves
much.
Lawrence Taylor.
All right.
Ed Reed.
I would say Ed Reed might be number one then. The guy that Coach Belichick never coached. Dreamed of coaching.
Yeah.
Sorry, Devin McCourty.
Yeah.
Well, we got you back. You want to rate dudes on dudes? Well, Coach Belichick loved Ed Reed. Got him.
Who else would be on there? Who else did he love? Probably like a punter.
I mean, well, he coached Cam Newton. He loved Cam Newton. Always talked about Cam Newton. You got to contain him in the pocket. But then he coached Cam Newton. So that one doesn't really count. But it was him. Love Peyton Manning, no doubt about it.
Love.
Another guy, a legend, played way back in the day, Jim Brown.
Bill loved Jim Brown. That is such a good pull. Because anytime there'd be just guys we'd be slap dicking in the locker room, and Bill would be coming in with his little fucking towel. He'd go to the treadmill with his binder and his towel. He'd go in to watch some film on the tread, and guys would be arguing about shit. Bill sometimes would say something. He'd be like, "Hey," you know what I mean? And I remember guys were arguing about top running backs of all time. Oh, it's this guy, and I think he just said, "Jim Brown? You guys don't know fucking Jim Brown's the best football player." Like, he loves Jim Brown. Loves Jim Brown.
All right. What about Ed Reed's, college days? He was the guy at the U. Like, he exemplified what the U was all about. Tough, hard-nosed football players that gave no damn. No damn out there out on the field. Gave it their all. And this just represents him in just one play. What you got, Jules, about that?
I mean, the play right there. Look at
Miami versus Boston College, 2001. Miami was up 12-7 late in the game, and Boston College was in the red zone. Do you remember this play?
Yeah.
One of the most famous college football plays of all time. He got deflected into one of his defensive linemen. Yeah. Ed Reed strips the ball from him and takes it 80 yards to the house.
Yeah. Just dangerous.
And they ended up winning 18-7.
Flashy. Like their defense, like it just fun flash.
Playmaker.
We'll put it in he's also like a speech giver. You know, you look at this one speech. I'm sitting there. They're up 21-3 at halftime. He was pissed at Miami's effort because they were like national champion hopes. This was when the U was the freaking U. And you go, and Ed Reed, I'm hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. I'll put my heart in this shit. Let's go, man.
And what happened?
They go out and blow them out, 49-27.
And then what happened at the end of the year?
Miami didn't lose the rest of the season.
They won the national championship, BCS national championship. That is 2001. The U was the U. Who didn't love the U?
He's on the Mount Rushmore U guys too, isn't he?
He 100% is.
Ray Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what offensive guys? Michael Irving. Gore's there. Shockey. There's a bunch of tight ends.
What about Andre Johnson?
Oh. Reggie Wayne, Warren Sapp.
Oh, man. The list goes on and on.
I want to hear what people think who's on that.
Oh, Vince, Big V? Big V. How can you forget about Big V?
Dude.
Greg Olson. I mean,
you got a lot this of was when we were kids, man.
The U was the U. I loved the U, dude. I got an offer from the U to go play tight end there.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go there. It's at the very end, and I just thought, like, I was complete because I got the offer from the U. Like, it just made me satisfied. Like, yeah, I could play at the U, but I'm not going there. But I could play there. I got the offer. I was, very happy.
The U. When you're in 8th grade and you do that thing where you write a letter to yourself and then your teacher saves it and then sends it to you when you're a senior in high school. Mine went along the lines of something like this. Like, it's good to see that you're probably going to be signing your commitment letter to University of Miami. I hope you enjoy the sunshine. I wanted to go to the U so bad. I wrote to myself in 8th grade to fucking myself in the future. And little did I know I was ending up at JUCO and didn't go to the U.
And then Kent. It was close to
you. It was close. There's Miami, Ohio.
That was in your conference. It was close enough, Jules. It was close. You would have never ended up at Kent. It was like that letter was like, all right, we can't do the U, but we can do the Kent, which is kind of near Miami, but the Miami, Ohio.
Exactly.
So it would work. Or else you would have never got the offer to go to Kent. Man, and then you would still be in junior college right now.
You manifest to go beat you manifest to play against Troy Polamalu. I manifest to play against Miami of Ohio, baby.
Miami, Ohio, great school. My friend went there. I visited him twice, and let me tell you, we had a good time. And my jersey is up on the wall, and it got stolen. It was right next to Big Ben's jersey. Forgot the place we went to. Oh man,
Miami, Ohio is cool. I never went there. It was supposed to be a fun school.
Fun school.
Sean McVay went to
Loved it.
I played against Sean McVay when he went to Miami, Ohio.
He's that young?
Yeah, he's my age. Are
you that old?
I'm that old.
No, he's that young.
He's both.
Because he's a head coach.
I know, but he was a head coach 10 years ago. I think he got in his damn near 20s.
What position did he play?
He was receiver slot. He had a catch against us.
Yeah, just one though.
I don't really remember him.
I have to try to get you.
But I'll tell you right now, I guarantee he remember me.
That's what we're talking about. All right. What kind of guy?
I love you. Time. What kind of dude is Ed Reed?
Oh, man. Ed Reed. I mean, definitely a wizard because you got to know the game of football, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in order to bait your quarterback into throwing the ball so you can go make an interception. But he's absolute dog, too, when he made that interception. Brought it to the house, stripping his lineman in college so he can go for an 80-yard touchdown. Punt returning as well as the most electric returns and most yardage return in the NFL history for a defensive player. When you're the superstar on defense and you're still playing in the kicking game, that's fucking dog. That's when you know you're a legend.
That's a dog.
That's when you know you're a football player as well.
Mental toughness, always motivated. You knew Ed Reed was motivated.
Heart and soul of the U.
Well, I mean, there's so many hearts and souls.
Oh yeah, there was
so many hearts.
But one of them, one of the heart and souls of the U.
One of the heart and souls.
So dog. Stamp it.
Dog. All right, and to cap off our last.
All right, here we go.
Let's get on Jim Brown. What's AI got to say about Jim Brown?
Start the clock. Jim Brown was a 6'2", 232-pound powerhouse, a four-sport athlete at the University of Syracuse. He was drafted 6th overall by the Cleveland Browns in 1957. He quickly established himself as a dominant force in the league. Over 9 seasons, he piled up 12,312 career rushing yards, a career average of 5.2 yards per carry, and scored 126 touchdowns.
Wow.
Leading the league in rushing 8 times, he was named NFL MVP 3 times. Off the field, he was a Hollywood leading man with a lengthy film resume and a noted civil rights advocate.
He is.
Jim Brown for you, ladies and gentlemen. Jules, what is the first thing you think of when you hear the name Jim frickin' Brown? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, I know we toss around the word legend, but that's what I think about when you think of Jim Brown. There's like so many facets of everything in life, just life, that Jim Brown has done great things in. Philanthropy, supporting his community, in the movie business, on the football field, retired on his own terms, was an outstanding man off the field that like mentored a lot of our guys, a lot of football players. That Cleveland Summit picture, which is a huge thing for not just sports, but for our country, to see some of the elite men in sports that everyone loves, the community binder the sports are, to see these guys step out for their community in that Cleveland Summit. Him, Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali, like these guys were the pinnacle of the athletes. Support their community and have, be proud of what they were and what they stand for. Like, that takes a lot of balls.
It really does.
That's what Jim Brown was.
And that's why I love athletics so much, because it doesn't matter about your race, your background, where you came from. Everything's fair in the athletic world, and you get a platform as well. And just the way that they use their platform, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, to expand their community, and that everyone's treated equal. And that's just how it should be 100%. I mean, back in the day, we didn't really live in that era. I mean, I couldn't even imagine it like being like that. Like, it's unbelievable what he has done, and to have that, like you said, to have that courage to go out there and represent your community, you got to tip your hat off.
Always.
And he's one of the, main founders of doing that, along with many other players, like baseball players like Jackie Robinson and those guys. I mean, hats off to them for their courage.
But he's one of the football guys for us. Mm-hmm. That was a pillar in trying to make things better.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of him also, Bill also loved him because he was a lax guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was a 4-sport athlete.
I mean, and to be a lax guy, back in the day like that, I mean, he was
played
a
at Syracuse. Athlete. I mean, he could have.
What was his 4 sports he played? And he played all 4 at Syracuse too, which is absurd.
Lacrosse, football, basketball, and track.
How do you do that? How do you play 4 sports in college? Like, how?
Jim Brown did. That's how.
I bet he played lacrosse like kind of like a football player. Like,
no,
when a football player is playing basketball, though, they could still be the best basketball player in the court, but you could tell they're a football player.
No,
Jim Brown, myself.
Jim Brown was the best lacrosse player in the world.
But I bet you he was like playing like a football player, though. Like, when he was getting that lacrosse stick, he was probably carrying it like a football a little bit, like right into his chest, and just kind of like stiff arming guys away from him and just running down the field and then shooting it and scoring. I feel like that's how he played.
I mean, I bet you he was just unstoppable. I mean, he shot a 77 on his 5th time ever playing golf. A 77, that's 5 over par? Like, that's when you're just touched by God. And, like a lot of people want to say, because of the generation he played, this, that, 6'3", 232 nowadays, if he was in the generation of the science, the supplements, the information, the training,
the vitamins,
sleep, the diet. If he was in that nowadays, you think he'd still be 232? This dude was doing that off of
cold
fucking
tubs,
milkshakes,
hot tubs, all of it.
These guys were doing it off of just like they had another job in the offseason.
So being 232 pounds back in the day,
running 4.4.
Running a 4.4. I mean, he was bigger than some defensive tackles, I feel like. I mean, they were only like 240, 250. it's equivalent to him being like 290 pounds right now, just all muscle, just playing, in the backfield,
Probably
just running
like
the ball.
He'd be like Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and he just ran away from everyone. He was bigger than everyone on the field at that time.
Bigger and faster.
Mm-hmm. And stronger. And just the base that he had, everyone just bounced off him.
He didn't miss a play, Rob, in his 8-year career. Could you imagine not missing a play?
No,
and this is back when, these guys, they didn't have fucking
the medicine wasn't the same.
They didn't have great cleats. They didn't have any equipment.
The rehab was totally different. You just
They
went
were
out there
smoking
and
cigarettes on the sideline.
Yeah, drinking freaking a shot at halftime.
100%. And then also, like one of the first black action heroes. I used to love Dirty Dozen.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him in The Running Man. I used to love that movie. And the guy lives right down the street from me. The guy that produced it. I got a shout out to him. See him walking all the time. He's always talking, I'm remaking The Running Man. I'm remaking The Running Man. I'm like, awesome, man. What's up, dude?
Well, what my favorite thing about it, I've never seen The Running Man. I got to see it now. So I
you'll
can
love
go
it.
and hang out with the director as well and feel cool. Like
no, he's not
Jules.
director, producer.
Or the producer. I mean, kind of the same thing back in the day. But he posed for Playgirl. Like, that was my dream. Like, there was always Playboy. And I actually never knew Playgirl.
Did you say your dream was to pose for Playgirl?
It was. Okay, Jules? Because here's a fun fact. I didn't know Playgirl existed until I was just looking up some notes on Jim Brown. And I was like, he posed for Playgirl? Like, I always said it growing up. You got to call my mom and ask her. Like, she'd be like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to pose for Playgirl. I never knew Playgirl actually existed. I always was like, I'm going to start Playgirl. But it existed. And I didn't know that until I just read these facts about Jim Brown a couple days ago when I just looked him up. And he literally posed, and he posed with his piece hanging out as well.
Bare Knuckle Barry.
Like, imagine.
Oh my God, Bare Knuckle Barry.
Imagine doing that.
All right, we
having
get
a full grown on bush too while posing.
I mean, it was
back in that era,
60s, 70s.
Oh my gosh!
Eric Dickerson did Playgirl.
Would you pose for Playgirl,
Eric Dickerson, because Slate used to talk about Eric Dickerson. He's like, Eric Dickerson was on Playgirl, Joker. It's so bad.
Would you have posed for Playgirl? Like, say 10 years ago. You're young 20s. I don't even think Playgirl's around. I didn't even know it was around.
We did Body Issues. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Not different though, because this wasn't like we're just sitting at the pool table with our dings hanging out. We were doing like jokingly stuff.
Playboy and Playgirl were notoriously known more of like
I actually knew about
being
Playgirl.
A sex symbol if you're in it.
I remember being at one of my friend's house when we were like 13. He's like, look at this. Look what I found in my mom's room. I was like, oh my God, what is that? It was a Playgirl.
Wait.
The mom had a Playgirl.
You just told that story? Oh, it wasn't your mom. It was your friend's
mom.
No,
it wasn't.
Oh,
yeah, my friend's mom. And
when I heard mom, I just clicked. And I was like, Jules, you're saying that about your mom?
No.
Oh, all right. Who's your friend, though? You can definitely say his name now. You can definitely say your friend's name, dude.
Is there any movie roles that you'd quit football for?
Well,
why did he quit football for Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, they threatened to fine him.
And that's why he retired.
In training camp. And instead he's like, I'm going to retire then.
That's a dog.
I mean, it is a dog, but he was probably making more doing movies than playing football at that time.
100%.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy didn't miss a play, so he was hurting.
Yeah, and he had the dong for movies too. That's why he was showing it off. He was just setting up his career for after football too.
Hey, you remember, speaking of movies, remember when we did the movie, we did Entourage?
Yeah.
That was so fun.
I was a method actor for that movie. Like, the role I was supposed to play is, be beat up Gronk. Yeah, and I actually just had my knee surgery, so I was already beat up, but we put a cast on me too. Like
I remember.
Like, my arm was broken. And also we were at a party, so it was like me being hammered, and I was actually hammered for the role.
Oh my God.
So I'm a method actor.
We weren't hammered.
We weren't hammered, but I was feeling good, Jules.
I don't think we're allowed to say that we were able to do that on set.
But now you can, because it was 10 years ago.
Was it 10 years ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember I gave you a beer bong?
You did. That was a real beer bong, too.
That was a real beer bong.
It was.
Yeah, that was method acting.
I love that show. It's kind of like Hard Knocks we were talking about. Entourage and Hard Knocks in high school was my glory days of watching television shows. It was those two and those two only. And I just lived up to want to be like that.
Yeah,
I wanted to be like that football player in Hard Knocks. I wanted to be like the guys in Entourage.
Yeah.
So thank you for those two shows for giving me that motivation to be that guy. There we are, Jules. You're giving me the beer bong.
Oh,
it was
my
a real
God.
beer bong as well.
That was so
We
fun.
should have quit. We should have quit football like Jim Brown.
I know.
Actually, no. No,
Nah.
we should have.
We didn't win.
No chance.
We didn't win a Super Bowl yet.
No
then.
chance. No chance.
Remember, we weren't Super Bowl there.
No,
yet.
we weren't Super Bowl champs yet, but we were awesome.
Man,
We were freaking awesome, Jules.
time. What kind of dude is Jim Brown? They say he. I'm not joking. When you look him up in the lacrosse community, they don't look at him as a football player that played lacrosse. He's like a lacrosse guy. Yeah, he's in the National Lacrosse Hall of Fame. On everyone's top 5 list of all-time football player, this guy is just he's got the pedigree of everything. What's that make him? Actor, pivotal person in his community, not in just his community, but in all communities. Like he transcends community. That's how big of a person and a guy he was. And I think he's just flat out stud. What do you think?
I wouldn't say freak besides that, that pose in the Playgirl. That's where he was a freak. But we're talking about his athletic ability.
He was definitely a freak. He was the fastest, biggest guy in the field.
No, yeah, but it wasn't
literally
intriguing to be like a true freak, like looking like a true freak. He was freaky, but
I bet you
not like that. He was definitely more of a stud.
Well, he's
as a football player and as a athletic type of guy, but he had some dog in him.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, Wiz. I mean, you gotta be smart as heck in order to play all those sports and
the way
know the games inside and out.
100% didn't miss a game. He's probably a dude's dude. He probably kept everyone in check in just a different Jim Brown kind of way.
But I feel like all those characteristics do lead to being a stud.
100%.
You gotta be a stud all over the place, man. You gotta be
flat out stud,
and to be the best at it all and whatever he did, off the field or on the field. He a stud.
He's a stud, man.
Stud.
Stamp it.
Stud.
Well, that's been another episode of Dudes on Dudes. What can we do better next episode, Rob? Self-scout it.
Well, what do you think?
I think we're getting better.
We are getting better. We're bouncing off each other very well, which I
we're
really,
still figuring
really like.
out.
We are. We're still young. It's like me. I was playing poker the other day, and I started off slow, and I was figuring out the game more and more as the time was going on. I played 10 hours, and I feel like I was a better player at like the 7th hour of playing than the first 6 hours I was playing, because you start picking it up. We're still new to this podcasting game. Played against Phil Hellmuth.
Did you take him down?
Antonio, another pro. I took down Phil. He took me down a couple times, but I played. I was in there, man. It wasn't like they were
Jay
running
Moneymaker.
over me.
They call me Jay Moneymaker.
I held my own. It was a good time, but we could definitely get better, man. I would say so.
Without a doubt. That's what we're always. That's what this podcast, and that's what we're always on the mission to do, to improve. We're trying to improve.
Well, rate us and review us so we can, read the comments and we can understand what we got to improve on and where we can get better.
And remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And comment on a dude you want us to do, rate, review, do it all. And remember to follow Dudes on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat. Dudes on Dudes is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you guys next week.